Hello everyone. Today let's talk about the term MVP. It stands for minimum viable product. This is a term that is widely used in making product, but is a little bit overused that people start to think this is not that important anymore. But in fact, it is a really important step in creating ideas into products. Recently, we have this Grokipedia was announced from Elon Musk XAI. This is clearly a very good MVP example. So I think we can learn from this one. So that's what we are going to do today. So let's think about why MVP is important. So we will start with an idea. So when you are trying to create a product, you will likely to start with an idea. What is possible is that there are other people who will also have the same ideas. Because of that, you need to do something better than those people. So it is usually known as an edge or value proposition. At this point, the problem is we actually don't know if it is real because it's just an educated guess, maybe supported by some research, and we also don't know if it is actually going to be better. At this point, it is called a hypothesis. So this is an idea that might come true. Usually what happens is people tend to think this idea will work and try to go all in. But actually what is important is we will never know if this idea is real or if this edge is real or if it is actually better. So we will only know when we put a real product, a real usable product in the hands of real users, not some kind of testers. In that way, we can only understand what they actually think and what they actually feel useful. A lot of time what happens is we try to imagine so much from this idea that we will have to spend so much time and resources just to get a real product that can be tested. So that's why what we need is we need to have a solution that does not need that much time and effort, but at the same time can tell us our idea works. So that is the core concept of minimum viable products. So if you go into internet and try to search minimum viable product, what you are likely to see is something like this. Essentially what they are saying is you do not just do function. So this is actually a shift in the mindset of MVP. They want to cover some sort of usable convenience, user aesthetics, etc. So this is actually somewhat good explanation of MVP, but it does not cover the real principle, something that is much better like this. So what this is trying to say is if you're trying to build feature by feature that is not usable, it's not called MVP. So this number one is not called MVP. So in this picture, what MVP actually means is it's trying to accomplish what you are trying to do in early stage. So what this means here is you are trying to go from point A to point B, and with this solution you can actually go, but it's not a good experience, so you can slowly iterate and it becomes much better at this stage. I think this is a better example, but this also have some issues. Like I mentioned at the start, the term MVP is so common that people tend to change the middle words V with minimal marketable, minimal lovable. So what is actually happening is this will just confuse us a little bit more. So we can actually start to see a bunch of articles explaining about why it's no longer MVP, why it has to be something else. But I think it's not that important. We can actually have a good overview here. So this is a minimal viable product, and this is a minimal marketable product, and this is a minimal lovable product. The difference is this minimal viable product is testing the idea. So the minimum marketable product is a product that is ready to market. Minimal lovable product is essentially focused a lot on user experience and loyalty. From this, we can actually see they are not essentially replacing the term MVP. So they actually don't have to do anything with MVP apart from the fact that they have the same name. So what we are actually trying to do is we are trying to validate our idea. So that is the most important part. I think it's enough about theories. Let's just get into Grokipedia and try to understand that as a good example of MVP. So what is Grokipedia? So it is actually an encyclopedia. It's like Wikipedia, but with AI. Because it's 2025, everything will be AI, right? This is actually from Elon Musk. So he has been saying Wikipedia is biased, is not true, etc, etc. He can do better. So that's why this Grokipedia is from his company XAI's Grok. And when it was released, these articles, so his AI encyclopedia articles does not give the right articles. But let's not get into these politics. These are not that important for us, as we are only trying to understand about the MVP. Let's get into what is making this a very good MVP example. So we will go back to this example. So like we are saying, we are going to build this one. What we need to understand is what is the first version. So in the case of Grokipedia, it is an AI encyclopedia. So what is going to be this version of it? It is less biased encyclopedia. It is just a bunch of articles, or is it just chat with encyclopedia? So what is this? That is actually the most difficult thing about building MVPs. So if you don't define this step right, the MVP will not work. By not working, what I mean is it will not validate the idea, so it will not give us any assurance that our idea will work. So to understand what we need to build in the MVP, we need to understand one thing. So we will have to think from both sides. On one hand, this is going to be users. So for users, let's just think about what Grokipedia can do. If you're users, if you're trying to read encyclopedia, there are so many words, so many sentences. If you can just ask the AI what you want to do, that will be nice, right? From the idea side or the business / product side, so what you have to think is encyclopedias are very dense in data. So it is actually a very good to use with AI. You can rewrite the encyclopedias with AI. So that is a good thing to test. So without speculating, let's just check what Grokipedia has done so we can learn from them. Okay, this is a screen of Grokipedia. So it is very much like Google. There's nothing else. There's something happening. So there's this version. You can change the color, and there's this demo of articles. So it's pretty straightforward. Let me try to search for HTC. So it's the company that created the first Android phone. So you can notice it is saying fact checked by Grok. And also if you go down, it says its content is adapted from Wikipedia. So this is essentially Wikipedia being rewritten by Grok. But there is one thing interesting. What they have actually did here is we can actually see the edits. So it's saying that this citation, this does not match, issue is this, fixes this. So the reason they are fixing is this. So apart from that, it's much simple. So we can search for another company just like that. So it's simple, straightforward, nothing else. Content menu here, so we can even go back. Maybe we can change the color. That's it. It's simple. Actually, there are a few things I noticed that is making this Grokipedia MVP a very good example. So the first thing is this thing, a very simple Google-like search, but it has this article counter. It says this number of articles available. So it's actually making a lot of sense because it brings out trust. So it's saying that it's not just a search, it's an encyclopedia. So it's also saying that it's not like Google. If we try to cover it like this make a very huge difference in understanding what this application does. So this is actually a very neat solution. So another thing that is really interesting is that they are saying this is fact checked by Grok. So this is the point where we can understand what they are trying to test in terms of MVP. So they are saying they are rewriting this encyclopedia by fact-checking with AI. So AI is going to bring out more trust because it can browse into the internet and check the facts are actually correct or not. So that's why they get into this feature. Considering this is a very simple MVP, adding this feature seems like unnecessary, but this is actually a very important thing. What they are trying to test is they are trying to improve the trustworthiness of these open source articles by fact-checking with AI. But people won't believe because of that they have 3 steps. So they say this is the issue, this is what I fixed, this is the reason why it is fixing. So this is actually what they are testing, and it is a very, very good one. Regardless of how bad the articles turn out to be, but what they are testing in terms of MVP is very good. And another thing that is very interesting is the performance. So it is a very simple app. When you search an article, the article loads pretty fast. So one of the reasons is because they don't have any images. The performance is actually very quick. Another thing that is interesting for a product designer like me is these micro interactions. The first thing is these hint text, they are flipping up and down. So that is an interesting one. And another one is when I search something, they load instantly in the search bar. Not a new pop-up with loading, not a new screen with ghost loading. A very nice touch, I can say. And the last thing I really like about this one is this version 0.1. So it's very clear that it is not the first version. You cannot expect the best from this one yet. It's not even beta or alpha. There can be people who does not understand what beta or alpha means. But if you are saying version 0.1, so it's not even 1. So because of that, you can know immediately that this is not the final yet. So maybe it's just my personal opinion, but I like this quite a lot. Personally, I don't really like the idea of AI being the editor of our encyclopedia, but I think this one actually makes sense because AI can do word browsing and fact checking pretty quickly. Why not use them on Wikipedia? I think it is a good idea to test. Let's just try to understand what Grokipedia has done as an MVP. So the first point is they are trying to rewrite Wikipedia with AI. We can see that these articles are essentially Wikipedia. They are rewriting those articles with AI. While they are rewriting these articles, they actually included the fact check. So this is the most important point they are testing. But there's another thing that is important to test. So when you're trying to ask AI to rewrite something, there's a good chance that AI will hallucinate, write something really funny or totally irrelevant. Because of that, the data needs to be very strong. So they really need to know if AI do this, if majority of the articles are actually good or not. So that's what they're doing. So if you go into the internet, you will find that there are articles that Grokipedia has written which are totally weird and not good enough. But the majority of them, if you are just a normal user, if you try to search an article, they are okay. I think that is the idea they are trying to validate. Now we have checked Grokipedia. Let's get back to MVP. So MVP, what we are actually trying to do is we are trying to validate our actual idea and edge or value proposition. So that is the most important one. We want to know if our idea actually works or not. But to do that, the one thing that is the most important one is we cannot complicate the initial features. That is the hardest part. From my experience, what I have found out is you think these features will be MVP, these features might be MVP, but in the end it becomes a complete set of features packed into one instead of just a simple validation of core idea. So this is the hardest part. This is the part where we have to really pay attention to. So we will have to find the feature that are going to validate our core idea, and that features cannot be minimum. We need to build enough feature to validate our idea. And the last part is mistakes. This is also a problematic one. So most of the time the stakeholders don't really want mistakes. If mistakes start to happen, they are going to finger pointing each other, blaming each other, and the product will not go everywhere. But what we have to understand is MVP accepts mistakes. So actually mistakes are part of MVP package. They are not just going to happen, they are definitely going to happen. What's more important is we need to improve quickly as soon as we know the validation. So we just need to iterate and improve. I think this Grokipedia is a very good example. It was launched about a week ago. So this is a good time we can see how version 0.1 was released, how it was improved over time. So I think we do not get a chance like this that often. That's why I'm trying to record this video and try to learn. So that's it for Grokipedia MVP. Hello, my name is Presto. I'm a product designer and strategist. So I have been building MVPs for over 6 years now. I love to record contents when I see opportunity like this so that I can watch back and learn again. There's a similar videos about the progress of Gen AI in the year ChatGPT first appeared. I hope you find these useful in your journey. Please subscribe and let's stay connected. See you next time.